Hi, welcome to Success Factors. I'm your host, Brenda Siri, and today I'm joined by Steve Fineberg, principal broker, and his wife, Ida Fineberg, executive broker of Fineberg and Associates, based in Northwest Arkansas. Thank you both for being on the show.
Thank you for having
We're
us.
delighted to be here.
Good. I want to know how the two of you first got into real estate. You want to address that, Steve?
Well, yeah, I can do that. I was in it years before I met Ida.
Okay.
So I had that period of a lot of success and with failure too. And then when I met Ida, I was on the failure side. I was on the downside. And then we got married over a long dating period. And when we got married, I wanted to bring her in. And that's how that was the genesis of it. That's how it started.
Okay.
And she's here today. I mean, just fast forward, she's been an integral part of it.
I bet. And Ida, did you have a real estate career before you met Steve?
Absolutely not. The only real estate experience I had was selling my house in Dallas to move to Arkansas when I married Steve.
Okay, so what did your career look like before then?
I was a teacher
Oh,
for
wow.
many years.
Okay.
So I walked into a lot of lucky circumstances in Arkansas at that time. They needed bilingual agents, and that's where I built my business to begin with.
Oh, nice.
So it was very interesting.
And so once you got married, you started Fineberg and Associates?
No.
Well, no, I had been away. I grew up in Arkansas
Okay.
with the University of Arkansas, and spent some time in Oklahoma City, and then Dallas. And when I moved back to Arkansas, my mother developed cancer, and Dallas was in that period where much of the U.S. was involved in a interest rate problem, like 20% interest rate. So I ended up moving back. I needed a new start and a fresh new turf after all that interest rate problem. And that's worked for another agency. And I was there a while. And it didn't work out well. So that caused me to do what I had done in Oklahoma City, start a company. And it was a surprise. I wasn't really looking to do that, but that's what I did, what we did. And from that, it emanated to what is there today. But it was not planned. It was a surprise to me. Ida was a little concerned.
It was a big surprise to me because I went out for lunch and I came back and they told me, Steve now has a new company.
Oh.
I said, oh, okay. At what? But he opened the company and I literally did not go to work for the company for the first 3 years.
Okay.
I even got calls from some of the business reporters asking me if the reason I stayed was because I was getting a divorce. And I said, I think you guys have more important things to talk about. But that's how I was owner of a company, but not there for a little while at the beginning.
Okay. And so at what point did you really think this could become a serious business?
Well, out of necessity. I've never worked for really anybody. And when this relationship I had with that company in Arkansas abruptly ended, I thought, where are the oars? I need to row.
Yeah.
And I just had an instinct. I started a company in Oklahoma. I knew how to do it. So I just used my experience and my, I don't know, maybe I had blindfolders on. I didn't have any fear.
Yeah.
She did. I understood that. But I said, don't worry, it'll be fine. And we started with nothing, really, in an empty space, on the floor, no phone, no fax machine, no corporate name, but a lot of following from the company I left. They all followed me. I'll say all. Most 90% of those clients followed me over. So that's how it started. And I started with one person who left the company, came with me. And I had a friend of mine pull up with a pickup truck full of old furniture and said, Steve, I think you might be able to use this furniture. It was very welcomed, believe me.
Yeah.
And, you get started 1 foot at a time, brick at a time. You bring in somebody and you get another one, and it rolls. And, you get you get an impetus, you get on a roll, and on those rolls you're going to have downside and upside,
Right.
but you weather them. And
Right. What kind of were those biggest struggles that you saw in the first few years of really becoming Fineberg and Associates?
For me, not having been exposed to that, in that I was always in a more secure environment, where you got paid by monthly or however, you were just out there, like being on a high wire and hope for the best. And but I never doubted that Steve, he's such a hard worker, would make a go of it. And he taught me a lot about, building up your clientele and what you do, and it all works out. If people like you, they will come back to you, etc. So, but at the beginning, it was pretty, stark in there.
Yeah.
And but he made it work, and the people that came, which were trained in his mode of
Mhm.
being an agent, made it work for themselves. So it made the company grow. It's never been a huge company.
Yeah.
It's what I think you would call a boutique company.
Mhm.
And I think that's one of the pluses for that
Right.
business.
And you're focused more on commercial real estate,
yes,
right?
yeah,
Is the entire firm commercial real estate?
not well. You could say 90% of it is
Okay.
okay, and we never really looked for residential. And to be really full disclosure here, Ida always wanted me to make it a residential company. But I don't know residential really. It's a whole different world. And I just don't, I was comfortable with commercial, and I was taught when I went to school that you got to be known for something. You can't sell Chevrolets and Mercedes on the same floor. That was the way I was taught. And I just felt had to have an identity and push it and not try to be everything to everybody. And there's money to be made in all of it. All
Mhm.
these different sectors you can do extremely well. But I think you need to focus on when we want a commercial agent, or we want to look for a home, a residential agent. You got to be known for something.
Right.
But so Ida, we would get residential business from commercial clients. Can you help us find a house? Can you help us sell our house? Who better likely than Ida, with her great personality, her salesmanship, her bilingual?
Yeah.
She's so good with people.
Right.
I mean, had we done it the other way, maybe it would have been bigger. Maybe had we made it residential, you never know how if you'd done that, you never know exactly how that evolved. It
Right.
could have been bigger.
Right.
Maybe.
But
I
it's
don't know.
been
I think it's a
successful.
success.
Yeah.
And one of our agents one time said that the residential portion was like a hotel amenity,
Yeah.
like a pool or a spa.
Right.
So I am the amenity.
I love that. I
That's
mean,
it.
but together you're so
She
complementary.
is the amenity.
Yeah.
I said, well said. She is the amenity. Yeah.
So was there a deal early on that really, changed everything for you guys?
Just one deal. I really can't think through just a deal. When you make a deal, and you put a need, with another need, both groups have a need, and it could be a spontaneous need, it could be of long term. But when you get it to fit, I don't care whether it's a very small, two people, two groups, two companies that have a need, or something very large. You get it to fit. That's a high for me. I just feel like, man, I've got this together. So I can't think there's one. I've always felt just juiced when I get when I get it together. I feel
I
like
think we did a
like a
lot.
ball player. Hit the ball. I hear the bat. Hit the ball.
There you go.
I think what happened that moved the company forward a lot
Yeah.
was Steve, I think, was one of the first to literally do a commercial. Okay. And he became known as the commercial guy. Couple that with the jingle. And it was at that time, in a small market,
Mhm.
not like Dallas, that was a rather good oddity. That's what he did. And I think that move, the propelled the company, because now people would be on your radio during sports talk or some of the, talk show, political talk shows or what have you, and they could see the sign and they go, oh, that's that guy with that, you know,
Jingle.
music, that jingle, which sticks to your head. That's a compliment or not. But I think that did a lot. It helped me
Yeah.
a lot because, oh, you're with that guy. Yeah, well, that guy's my husband. Don't hold it against me. That's what it was.
Okay, well, I didn't know there was a jingle.
Oh,
And we're going to
yes.
need to look this up at some point.
Well, it's
so
a
I can
good
hear
job.
it.
I'm proud of it, and it was one of those something I did that I had no idea what I was doing, honestly. I was doing some radio there, and it was generic. You know what a donut is?
Yeah.
So we had music, a vocal, a promotion, music on the end.
Yeah.
And I had a call from a Fayetteville radio station telling me there was a guy from Nashville wanted to talk to me about having a custom-made jingle, not a generic. So I said, well, I'll talk to anybody about anything. So I ran down there, and he's promoting this jingle, not a jingle, but the concept of a jingle.
Okay.
And I said, look, I lived in Dallas for 10 years. I was in Oklahoma City 10 years. I've never seen a real estate agency have a jingle.
Yeah.
And so I nixed it at the table. And then the conversation turned to football and sports. And kept thinking about it just to myself. And I just said, you know what, I'm going to do this. I'm going to change. I'm surprising myself. I'm surprising you. I'm going to do it. I'll put a deposit on it, sight unseen. And if I lose it, I lose it. And they said, what do you hear? So I described what I thought might work. A big band sound, not a rock and roll, not generic, not soul, not country, not. And they came up with the retired musicians in Nashville who were doing it, and they kept asking me on the phone, what do you hear? What do you hear? What do you hear? And I kept describing what I described. One day they called me up in the office. They said, do you have time to listen? We have 3 renditions for you on the phone. I said, sure. I hear the first one. I said, that's it. You nailed it. I don't want to hear the others. They said, no, you must hear the others. I said, no, I don't want to hear them. I'll be confused. I like this one. No, you must hear the others. I said, I don't want to hear it. I love that, what you did. I'm telling you, that was one of the smartest things today. 15, 17, 18 years later, I can go in Bentonville or Fayetteville or Springdale into a business, and people will start singing that song or start going dancing to it.
Fair warning. Once you hear it, it's stuck in your
Oh,
head.
boy. Okay.
Kids are on their bicycle going, Fineberg, 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 and they're singing the song. It just propelled.
That's amazing.
It was, I had
That
no
was a big
idea.
deal.
And there were some other things, but that was one of them. I just threw it on the wall.
Yeah. And it's
And
stuck.
It's stuck, as they say. It's
Yeah.
stuck.
I love that.
And then they had several renditions, more instrumental, some vocal. We would change it out every now and then, and I would stop it, give it a rest, and then put it back on a year later.
Yeah.
Give it a little bit of a rest.
Smart.
And it was a real success, but it was certainly unplanned.
Yeah.
Much of what I've done is unplanned, frankly.
I like that. Nothing wrong
Much of
with
it's
that.
been just, let's do this.
So, Ida, as you've sat back and watched, Steve lead this organization to success and been a huge part of his success and your success, how has the business really evolved over the years that you've been part of it?
I think it's gotten very popular. I think people that come to Steve Fineberg and Associates, I think, expect better service, much more personal service. And it has evolved for me from a personal point of view. Going to Arkansas, I knew no one except for Steve. So I became friends with a lot of our clients, you
Mhm.
being one, and developed a social circle for us. But I think the business has gotten really, really competitive for really, really good agents. People that really want to learn the business, know the business. It's more complicated, more litigious. And so I think the business has evolved from just being, hey, I'm just a real estate agent to, this is a profession we need to learn a lot. We need to know a lot. And I think the agents are now in a position that they have to put the effort to educate themselves,
Hmm.
which before you just sort of went by the seat of your pants.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Well, not literally, but
Yeah.
you know what I mean? It wasn't, uh, that also evolved from the fact that most of your clients now, not all, but most, come in educated on their own because of the web and what's available online. So you need to keep up with them rather than them keeping up with you.
Yeah. Interesting. What do you think, Steve? What's been the evolution of the business?
Well, I would add to what Ida said. The math has become more complex, and what's behind the math. You got to understand what's behind it. I mean, you can look at a marketing report or a comp, a comparable on a piece of paper, and it has some numbers on it. But unless you really dig underneath those numbers, why are they the way they are?
Mm.
Can give you a whole different interpretation of the number. It's not just an abstract number.
Mm-hmm.
And that's required. There's a lot of courses that are pretty sophisticated that you can take and should take to be really, to have insight as to what's going on. And I think that's how it's evolved. It used to be, I want to buy a building or I want to lease a space. Well, then you might want to say, well, let's look at the differentiation for you in terms of time, in terms of capital requirement, in terms of your cash flow. And you can numerically, when you ask questions and listen to the answers, you can come up with a conclusion based on assumptions. There's a lot of assumptions. Assumptions can change everything, but you try to make reasonable assumptions and carry the client with those assumptions that this is what we think will happen. This is what we think will happen, and this would equate with this result. And on the other hand, we can do it this way. Here's assumptions built into this, and this is how that would probably result. And then they talk to their advisors or spouse or attorneys or accountants or whoever they converse with,
Mm-hmm.
and you try to be on board with it. Even if you disagree, you support it, not artificially. You want it to be successful. So you get on board with their decision and try to maximize what they see.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. So nobody's perfect, but I mean, you guys really do have a very successful business there in Bentonville. But along the way, I'm sure there's been a mistake or two that's
Oh,
taught you a
oh yes.
lesson, right? When you think about, the lessons that you've learned over the years, is there one in particular that sticks out that you're like, boy, I learned a lot from that and I would never, ever do that again?
Why are you looking at me? Yeah. I
Well,
think the
go
lesson,
ahead.
am
Go
I
ahead.
going first? The lesson I learned
Yeah.
was I need to keep control of the deal. Okay. Um, I am guided by the client, but I had a client that made it almost impossible for me to do my job on their behalf. And at the time, I just sort of let the client walk all over me,
Mm.
which did not turn out in a good way for the deal. So I learned that lesson early on and tried to be and work on behalf of my client, but also let them know that I am professional. We need to listen to each other and move forward, but not let the client just absolutely take over with suggestions or requests that were outlandish and turn the deal into just it's a mess. So you have to learn to say, this is not possible. Let's work together through this. And I think some people are afraid to do that. I'm over that.
Yeah, I was going to say there's probably that just natural fear that says if I try to set boundaries and let them know this is my job, that you might lose the client.
Yes.
So you don't want to do that, right? So,
Yeah. It's a risk, but most people will listen.
Mm-hmm.
They just have to get over that hump that, well, maybe I need to collaborate with this person who's working on my behalf.
Yeah.
There are some that will not, and that's what happened with this person.
Yeah.
And, she still hasn't sold her house. What can I tell you? And
Mm.
it's been many, many, many years.
Wow.
Yeah. So
Wow.
it's okay.
Yeah, absolutely. If you don't learn something
Yeah.
from the process, right?
Mhm.
What about you? You have one, Steve, that was a big
Well,
lesson?
I think there's one, but I still am learning from it to this
Oh,
day.
okay.
When I started in real estate, I was not a broker. I managed several thousand apartment buildings, and also syndicated limited partnerships, selling investors. Okay. And so that was a different type of sale than being a broker. There, I was a decision maker. When I stopped doing that out of necessity because of things didn't go well, I became a broker, and I had to learn that I'm not the decision maker. It was a time where I said, "This is what we're doing." Now I don't do that because I'm not the decision maker. I had to learn, and I learned, and it's like a feel. You've got to know how far to push and not push. You can present, and I do present what I feel and think is in their interest.
Mm-hmm.
But that's all I can do. I can't make the decision.
Mm-hmm.
And if they choose another way because of a different vision, doesn't mean they're wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't mean they're right either. But it's not my decision. And I'm even today, I mean, some people just say, "Steve, if you think that's the way, let's go."
Mm-hmm.
And other people say, "No, we're not doing that. We're going to do it this way." And I said, "Well, I've done my job of showing you the alternative.
Right.
You are the decision maker,
Right.
and we're going to put your best foot forward."
You're the advisor.
Yeah, you're the advisor.
Yes.
I
Right.
report to you.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Different, and even to this date, you got to know when to stop. You got to know when to let go,
Yeah.
because you don't have the wheel.
Yeah.
You're a passenger.
Right.
So
Right.
I think that's something that I think everyone needs to learn, and probably will learn over time if they haven't learned it yet.
Right.
There are some agents who have not learned that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Who, for instance, you tell them, you send an offer or whatever it is, and they immediately are saying, well, this isn't going to work, or this isn't going to happen, or what were you thinking? And you want to tell them, and I tell them, your job is to not take this to your principal, your client, your seller, your buyer, whatever it is, and work through it.
Mm-hmm.
And many of these agents, they like to take control, like they're the buyer or the seller.
Mm.
And that's a big mistake. Young agents should learn to work together. You represent this person or that person. Like Steve said, you don't make their decisions.
Right.
And just go from there.
Yeah, that makes sense. Owning your own business and being leaders, I'm sure you're also open to the idea of taking advice from people.
Absolutely.
So what's the best piece of advice that you've ever received while you've had Fineberg and Associates?
Wow.
From each other or from other people?
Just the best piece of advice.
Big question. What's the single best idea or
Advice, idea, sure.
wow? That's a thought question. The biggest piece of advice. I would say this: do not. Well, there's two things,
Okay.
and it's applicable every day. When you feel like it's not working, it's just not gonna work, don't take it personally. Just don't. It's not. It could be many, many things of which you have no awareness of. None. It could be their home life, their business life, their whatever's going on in their world, business world, professional, personal. It could affect the way things are going. Don't take it personally. I I think that's and that's not just advice. You need to embrace that, because otherwise, if you don't, you're gonna hit some valleys that you'll never get out of.
Right.
You gotta let go, and it's not your decision. And don't and play your videos back when it doesn't work. When it does work, play your videos back. See what you woulda, coulda, shoulda done.
Mm-hmm.
Had you done it, or why did you do that? Maybe that was not the smart thing to do, or why didn't you do that? Either way, play it back.
Yeah.
And I still do that today. So I think the advice I'm talking about is, don't take it personally and have a short memory. Long memories are good in points. Short memories, don't take that disappointment with you tomorrow. Try to zip it up. And sometimes that's hard to do.
Yeah.
But wash your hands, wash it off,
Yeah.
and move on with a smile.
Yeah.
The next guy, next person.
I like that.
Sometimes that's very hard to do, but that's increased longevity. If you can do that, you'll be around a while.
Mm-hmm.
You won't drop out.
Right.
Well, I'm still working on shortening my memory, but that's in my nature.
Uh-huh.
But the best piece of advice I ever got, I mean, I've gotten great advice from Steve, but when I first started out, I was such a rookie. I didn't know anything.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a difficult deal for me because I was just starting out. But there was an agent at that office, you know who I'm talking about. And I was complaining about it, and he said, "You think you're an agent?" I said, "Yeah, I'm a real estate agent." He says, "You're not an agent." He says, "What you are is a problem solver. You are here to solve whatever problem they have. That's what you do. You're a problem solver. If you don't solve the problems, the deals will not move along. That's what you are." And that has stayed with me. So many, many times I tell myself when I'm by myself and I'm in a difficult situation, Ida, you need to solve the problem. What's the problem? That has stuck with me 20 plus years. Now, from this guy, I've learned a lot. And one of the ones is the one about, let it go, like the song says in the movie,
Yeah.
let it go and go on to the next problem that you
Right.
have to solve.
Right. That's
So,
good. Good
yeah.
advice.
Yeah.
So every business and economy has ebbs and flows, ups and downs, periods of uncertainty. How have you navigated that, Ida?
There were a lot of tears and a lot of sleepless nights and a lot of worries. When I got into real estate blindly, and I say that in a good way, it was great. It was hopping, and I had a big clientele that was fit a special need because of my language my bilingual. Great. And then everything went where? And it was Steve who said, "Ida, it's a pendulum. You just have to wait till that other side goes back up. Do the best you can." And I knew that things were pretty bad when I started listing some foreclosures owned by a bank. And I'll never forget this. I had a guy who sent me an offer for $15,000 for a house that was worth, even in bad times. I said, "Really?" I said, "If I knew that the bank would take that, I'd take out my American Express, buy the car, and buy the house and tell Steve later." But what I had to learn was patience and to put my fears aside because I didn't want to derail him, this company. He opened this company and things were kind of slowing down. So I had to learn to be patient and have faith. Just have faith that it would work out with hard work.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what happened.
Good. Yeah, being an entrepreneur is not for the faint of heart, is it?
I know.
Well, when you think about the entrepreneurs you were when you started the business and the entrepreneurs that you are today, what's changed?
It's still hard work.
Yeah, it
It
is.
doesn't change. It's still hard work. I think now what we need to do is, yes, still work hard, But I think, as Steve said in another interview, is pass on the legacy of becoming autonomous and working for yourself. And I hate to say this phrase, but it is applicable. Be the best that you can be,
Mhm.
right? Did I just copy a commercial? I think I did. Sorry. But just be the best that you can be.
Yeah.
And, just keep going. I don't think you should quit. Even if you have to change professions, you shouldn't quit trying to be the best you can be at whatever you do. Make the effort for yourself,
Right. Right.
and it'll be a payoff in your endeavor, whatever it is.
Yeah. How about you, Mr. Fineberg?
Repeat the question. I
How
was so involved in her answer,
I
I
know
forgot the
it was a
question.
good one. How have you changed as an entrepreneur over the years?
Well, time gives you experience, and experience gives you insight. So I have greater insight than I did. I was probably a little more cavalier, and sometimes that served me well, and sometimes it didn't.
Mm.
But I think the insight, I think that's how I've evolved. I'm a little more slow, and I think where you are in your life, when you're young, you have time
Mm-hmm.
to recover from mistakes. As you evolve, you learn more, and you realize you've got to be maybe a little more careful of where you step, because if you may not have time to recover, you don't have 30 years to recover.
Right.
Yeah. You're 25, go for it. Who
Right.
cares?
Yep.
Damn the torpedoes.
Right.
But you get a little more reticent on and wise, I think. That's what time does.
Yeah.
I think in our case, because you're business partners and then you go into the same house, and I think early on the decision was made, but not verbally or with paperwork, that Steve would be the principal broker,
Mm-hmm.
which in essence made him my boss at the company. And I was the principal broker of the residential part of our lives.
Mhm.
And, we had rentals, investments. I took care of that. That's a job
It
Oh,
is a
yeah.
job. It's a
in
big
and of
job.
itself.
Yeah.
And so I had some women may say, well, you let him boss you over. No, I knew that it would work out that way. If in the office, we were not husband and wife. He was the principal broker. I'm the executive broker, which means I have some of the same powers he does, but he's still, he's higher up, and honor that. And the other thing was that I would never play the wife card in the office. I.e., if an agent had an issue and said, well, if you talk to Steve, he'll listen to you. No, he's my boss. He's your boss. You go deal with him. And so that put me away from that position of she's the wife. And I was busy with the rentals and this also. That took time. So, but I think the fact that we, without even realize it, made that division,
Mm-hmm.
I think it helped things to run more smoothly. Major decisions were always made together. I give Steve that. Everything that was major for our lives, personal or business or our families, we were together.
Mm-hmm.
But it was not discussed at the office.
Mm.
We moved it away from and those things, we were husband and wife in our home or in the car or whatever,
Yeah.
but not in the office.
Were those rules that you specifically set to protect your marriage, in running this business together, or did that just happen for you
I
naturally?
think it was pretty natural. It
Yeah.
just evolved.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, it took me a while to get to the office, even though I was owner, but I worked for another office, which was kind of awkward actually.
Yeah.
But okay. I think they just evolved because I knew that I didn't want that issue that, oh, she's the wife. You know how
Mm-hmm.
people are.
Yeah.
I just didn't want that for myself.
Right.
Did I agree with everything that was going on in our company? No. And he knows it.
Mm-hmm.
Did he agree with everything I was doing? No. But it is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
It's a partnership, but not all partnerships run smoothly, like this tabletop
Right.
all the time.
Right.
But I think it sort of evolved organically.
Mm-hmm.
He's the boss there. I'm the boss here. But if there's a big deal to be done, a big decision to be made, then we're equal bosses.
It's good. It's good partnership.
And it still works out that way, except when driving.
You're telling
Don't
me.
go
That's
there.
every
You're telling
marriage,
me.
isn't it? So how do you separate, having that business together and going home and now you're just husband and wife?
I'm going to compound what she said, maybe with a little bit different twist. I think we discuss our lives. What does that mean? That means corporately and personally. And if she's involved in something, she discusses it with me. I'll give her my viewpoint, and that's it.
Mm-hmm.
She's going to take that wheel and do and I never challenge it.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't. I don't even want to. She's asked, and I'll say, we'll talk about it for 5 minutes or an hour or maybe a few days. But at the end of the day, it's her decision, and vice versa. I think when we talk about it, I'll bring things up and she'll give me her opinion. And I may agree, I may not agree, I may take a position in between the two where we had originally started. But once it's done, it's done.
Mm-hmm.
I just do it. And I think it's worked. So it gives each party a certain amount of autonomy. You're your own entity. Ida's her own entity. Win, lose, or draw, these are her decisions.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't want to be responsible for making a bad decision for her.
Right.
Let her, maybe she can do that, or the good decision, but it's her handwriting on it.
Mm-hmm.
And and she's requested counsel on it. And then she takes that and filters it out, massages it, comes with her conclusion, and she should run with it.
I think also you need to, this applies to anybody who works with their spouse or their partner a lot. You need to develop a life outside of that, something that he or she has nothing to do with. All right. I went the route of civil work, for instance, that would join boards, that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
He was with his guitar and things like that have nothing to do with me. And you need to have that separation. You need to have something for you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I think some people make the mistake. They live together, they work together, and everything is together. And you just need to develop something for you.
Right.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
It's really, really important. And you need to get away from your everyday, all day long with this person. Doesn't mean you care less or anything. You just need that for yourself. And some people don't understand that, I don't
Right.
think.
Yeah. Well, you certainly built a very successful business in Northwest Arkansas. You've got one of the most recognizable buildings in town. And we're going to show a slide of your beautiful building in downtown Bentonville. And if anyone is looking for a commercial real estate agent or a residential real estate agent, we're going to have your contact information up there so that they can send you an email or give you a call. But we are going to wrap up the show for today. And thank you both so much for being
Thank
here.
you.
Well, that's it for Success Factors today. I hope you enjoyed the show, and we'll see you next time. Bye.